Are you tired of a podcast that only entertains you without leaving you with something to think about? Are you looking for a podcast that truly enrich your life? Then Let's Talk is the show for you. Our motto is to make people think after every episode, and we take that mission seriously. Each episode is carefully crafted to provide an insight and ideas to help you live a more fulfilling life. From practical tips for improving your mental and physical health to thought provoking ideas and discussions on personal growth and development, Let's Talk has something for everyone. Our guests come from a variety of backgrounds and bring wealth of knowledge and experience to the table. We believe that everyone has something to teach, and we are committed to bringing you the best insights, ideas from the wide range of perspective. So, if you're ready to start thinking more deeply about your life, how you can make it better, then Let's Talk is the podcast for you. Subscribe today and start enriching your life one thought provoking episode at a time. Welcome to Let's Talk Podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Let's Talk Podcast, a new episode here. As promised, we always bring guests from diverse background and experiences, and today there is no exception. And today we are going to discuss about sleep. Yes, you heard it right. Today's guest is she's a sleep specialist, I would say. She has dedicated her career to help people understand the profound role sleep plays in our life. With a unique mix of qualifications in psychology, sleep diagnostics, and personal training, she blends academic expertise with real world experience to deliver practical and achievable solutions. She has been a big beacon of knowledge and support in her field, often featured in notable publications for grounding grain in her approach. And we are excited to explore this further during our conversation today. Whether you're struggling with insomnia or maximize your productivity, or just interested in understanding the sleep better, this is an episode you won't want to miss. So please help me welcome uh, Australia's leading sleep expert or sleepologist, Olivia Arezzolo. Olivia, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It is a pleasure to be here and sharing science based sleep tips with your audience. Really excited to dive in.
Absolutely. Actually, this is something while I was working and researching about this topic, I was so amazed and fascinated about so many things which I wasn't even aware of. And sleep is such an integral part of humans' life, which makes it more interesting. So let's dig directly into the topic here. So maybe the first question about the sleep, from your perspective, one of the question which I was going through is about dreams. Maybe I would say. So, is there any impact of dreams, or what kind of dreams you have from the kind of sleeping pattern or the quality of sleep we have in our daily life?
So, dreams are something I get asked about a little bit, and I'll be completely honest with you. I usually don't have a very exciting answer. The evidence indicates very little about the context of dreams and
Mhm.
what it means for the individual. Really, the only scientific um, connection of dreams, which is what I base all of my advice on, is science. Is that when we are under stress, we experience more distressing dreams, can experience nightmares, night terrors, things like that. But unfortunately, that's all I have to say about dreams. It's just if you're experiencing distressing dreams, it's an indication that you are experiencing greater stress. But why you experience particular themes and subjects in a particular dream, why particular people appear, I really don't have an answer for you. So I wish I could be more exciting, but I base my advice off the research, and that's what the research says.
Definitely makes sense. It's all the answers should be like whatever the right answer. It may not be exciting. That's perfectly fine. So that being said, uh, there are a couple of different sleeping. I mean, in different publications, and you have a book as well. So before I get into the question, would you like to mention something about your book and where people can find that book about the sleep?
Yeah, sure. So I've got my book, Bear, Lion, Wolf. It's about sleep chronotypes and understanding how your sleep type can influence your sleep health. So it's a concept that not many people are that familiar with because it is not overly popular in mainstream media. However, essentially, what your sleep type is a categorization system for your circadian rhythm preferences. It's also most commonly known as being a morning lark or a night owl, but actually there are three distinct groups of your sleep type or your chronotype, which is a early preference or early bird, which is also a lion. They're the ones that like to rise early and go to bed early. Then at the other end of the spectrum, you have the wolves. They're the ones that are night owls and love to be up really late and staying in bed until quite late as well in the morning. And then you have a group that falls in neither category, which is a bear, which has a neither early nor late preference. Now, why it's really important to know your chronotype is because it highlights to you specific sleep strategies and specific sleep guidance that you should follow. For example, bears need the most amount of sleep. They need at least 8.5, 9 hours. Whereas if you are a lion, you only need 7 hours. And if you are a wolf, you need in between. It also dictates, obviously, the times that you ideally should go to bed and wake up, and particular sleep saboteurs that may be at greater risk for you than other chronotypes. For example, lions are typically really light sleepers, whereas bears have although they sleep a long time, they can often struggle with fatigue. So they need to be on the lookout for that 3 p.m. slump and that 3 p.m. coffee that a lot of bears reach for. So that is a brief overview of the book and essentially how it can support an individual in getting their best night's sleep, and something that I definitely recommend, especially if you feel like you've tried everything, you probably haven't tried this.
Fascinating. There are three categories you mentioned about bear, wolf, and lion.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was reading there's some fourth category also about dolphins. Like,
Yes.
would you like to explain that as well? Is that a category or is just a mix of these three above categories?
So the dolphin was, let's say, first proposed by a sleep doctor called Dr. Michael Bruce. So he is very well known in the US, and I have great levels of respect for him, my fellow sleep chronotype advocate. So essentially, how he profiled the dolphin was of individuals who didn't actually fit into any of those categories. So they had a profile that's more similar to an insomniac. So sometimes they slept a long time, sometimes they didn't sleep at all, sometimes they slept early, late. They have biphasic phases of sleep as well as levels of alertness. They're typically really alert for a short period in the morning and then for a brief period in the evening as well, which is atypical according to the other energy level profiles of the other chronotypes, as well as the sleeping profiles. So why I didn't personally include the dolphin in my book and in any of my interviews and so forth, is because I base my chronotype off what's called the MEQ, which is a categorization system which groups an individual into either a individual with a morning preference for wake and sleep, which is a lion, or those in the middle, which is a bear, or those with a late preference, which is a wolf. So my research and that system, the MEQ, that doesn't include a dolphin. So this is why I do not include dolphin in my research and in my advocacy.
I would say a different way of taking this. So now the other following question from that perspective would be, okay, I understood these different sleep chronotypes here. How do I find mine? Because how do I differentiate that I am a lion, wolf, or bear, or am I just lazier than others for that perspective?
So to make it really easy, I have a quiz on my website. It has
Mhm.
about 20 questions and takes about 2 minutes. That is the easiest way. However, if that isn't a possibility for anyone for some strange reason, then you can ask yourself, when do you typically like to go to bed and wake up? That's a great indication of your sleep type. And also, when do you typically have the most energy? So lions, they like to go to bed and rise earliest, and they also have the most energy in the morning. They're the type of people that as soon as they wake up, happy to, go to the gym or go for a run or dive straight into work, because they have all of their energy, and their energy is optimized before 12 p.m. Comparatively, if you are a bear, you like to rise and go to bed a little bit later, and you have the most energy typically through the midpoint of the day. So between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., definitely not after 3 p.m., because that's typically a time you struggle with energy. So that is an easy way to know if you are a bear, if your energy is optimized between about 10 and 2. And then it's also quite easy to identify if you are a wolf, because your energy gets greater the later in the day it becomes. So actually, you are the type that loves to work late at night and find your best ideas come late at night. And essentially, you like to also go to bed and rise really late. So going to bed around 12, 1, even 2 o'clock sometimes, that is what you enjoy. And waking no earlier than, if you can, ideally 8 o'clock. So again, that's quite an easy way to identify if you are a bear, lion, or wolf. However, for a more accurate and exact certainty to know what chronotype you are, definitely take the quiz on my website.
That's great. I think with maybe taking a quiz from your website or understanding about this different sleep chronotypes, I think most of the people would be motivated when they have certain kind of sleep disorders or facing some challenges. Is that
Yeah.
something you have seen, or people who are just having a usual sleep, they don't bother about what kind of sleep pattern do they have? What's your perspective on that?
So typically, the average individual, at least in Australia, sleeps only 6.2 hours, and 65% of individuals experience light, restless sleep. So based on those statistics, the average individual is struggling with sleep. And as a result, if you are, you're speaking about like the normal, so it's actually the norm at the moment to be chronically sleep deprived. So
Hmm.
as a result, normal individual is going to be struggling with sleep. So most people who are, interested in improving their sleep are having a problem. Of course, you have individuals who just like to optimize everything, biohackers and uh,
Yeah.
so forth, and they are definitely interested for their own reasons. But most people who seek out advice for any problem, sleep included, typically have the problem to solve. So that's what I've found, that most people who are interested in chronotypes are looking to for an answer about how to sleep better because they at the moment don't sleep so well.
That's great. That makes sense as well. Uh, so so moving from that particular thing, like, okay, I got to know about what kind of sleep chronotype I am, and maybe I'm trying to optimize my sleep. Do you see any correlation with the way you eat, the diet, and the sleep? Or this is something like, I know that we been always mentioned that you have to eat your dinner maybe 2 or 3 hours before sleep, but on an overall wider spectrum, do you think that diet impacts the sleeping pattern or any challenges which you face?
Yeah, absolutely. Diet has a huge impact.
Hmm.
If you don't have the minerals required to produce melatonin, for example, or if you don't have sufficient healthy fats in your diet, that can increase your likelihood of anxiety, which then impairs your ability to fall and stay asleep. There's a lot of evidence around the interrelationships between sleep and diet, and there are specific nutrients that have been identified as sleep supportive, such as vitamin C, vitamin A, vitamin D. Those are of great importance. Magnesium as a mineral is hugely important, as is selenium, a cofactor in melatonin production. On the macronutrient scale, omega-3 healthy fats are incredibly important. They're really calming for the nervous system, and a deficiency in omega-3 healthy fats has been found to correlate with lighter, restless sleep, as well as states of anxiety and depression. Um, those with high protein diets are also um, found to have greater sleep quality with compared to lower protein diets, and those with moderate intake of carbohydrates have been found to have healthier sleep patterns than those on extremely high or extremely low carbohydrate diets. So support it, and it's definitely something that I recommend. It must be mentioned, though, that the main factor to control the circadian rhythm is not diet, and it's actually light. So for those experiencing sleep problems and they're thinking, where is the first place that I need to start? The first place is to wear blue light blocking glasses for 2 hours before bed and reduce your exposure to all artificial lights at least 2 hours before bed. Now, that means switching off from screens, reducing lights as much as possible, and wearing blue light blocking glasses that are 100% blue light blocking. It's not to say that diet isn't important, but it's not as important as the impact of light.
That's interesting. So, obviously you mentioned a lot of about having things in moderation, and I think you mentioned about increasing the melatonin
Yes.
to yeah, so to impact and get a better sleep. And I think that's a very valid point. I think of the blue light. These days we have our mobile phone as well to block, but at the same time, you mentioned that try to refrain from using any screen, which I'm also a big I'm culprit of. Like, I mean, I think my me and my wife both kind of look into the mobile phones before. From that perspective, what about the readers like Kindle or something, like, because I read all my books through Kindle e-reader. I'm not a paperback guy. So from that perspective, and I generally try to read, and I heard that in one of your podcasts that you recommend to read a book which is, I think, paperback. But what's your thought around Kindle or those e-readers which may be optimized for reading in the dark?
So, unfortunately, I do not recommend reading a
Okay.
Kindle either. It's a light emitting device. There was a study that found it suppressed melatonin levels by 55%.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, this is extremely problematic because when the body doesn't have enough melatonin, it's difficult to fall asleep and stay asleep. So, I definitely do not recommend a Kindle. A printed book is the way to go for evening activities. Um, However, I do commend you because I understand being on a Kindle is probably something that you're trying to do instead of being on your phone or watching TV. So you're
Yeah.
getting there. You're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, at least we do not have TV in our bedroom, which I tried to refrain because that would, I think, would impact. But again, yeah, I'll try to see how I try to move to paperback, or maybe the few big books which that I read and I have in a paperback. So I'll try to use them at the bedtime. So another question, which is very fascinating, I would like to would like to be curious about your thoughts about power naps.
Hmm.
There's a culture of power naps, and people just take like 15, 20 minutes, lie down, and I don't know whether that is a placebo effect or that exactly happens that it maybe increase or you are refreshed or something. What's your perspective and what's the science behind that? If you have any thoughts.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of napping. It's been
Mhm.
found in a NASA study to improve performance by 34% in just
Wow.
26 minutes. So
Mhm.
they are extremely powerful, provided that they are kept under 30 minutes, which enables the brain to remain in stage two, non-REM sleep, instead of diving deeper into stage 3, 4, non-REM sleep. And then if you wake from a power nap after going to into that sleep stage, which is a longer nap, say for example you nap for 40 minutes, an hour, typically what happens is you actually feel really, really groggy because you're experiencing what's called sleep inertia, and that's when you're waking from deep sleep. Now that is a bad situation because obviously you want the nap to help you feel more energized.
Yeah.
So I have a basic perfect nap plan, which enables you to have your nap and get your second wind without sabotaging your sleep and without experiencing sleep inertia. And the process for that is one, to keep it short, less than 30 minutes, two, keep it dark, wear an eye mask, and three, keep it early, finish the nap before 3:30. This makes sure that your body has enough time between the nap and sleep to produce a sleep promoting hormone called adenosine, which enables you to fall asleep with ease that night. And that is why you do not want to sleep too late, because if you do not have sufficient time between your nap and your bedtime, and it's later than 3:30, then you wouldn't have built up enough of this sleep promoting hormone adenosine, and therefore you will not be able to fall asleep with ease.
That's great. I think so. You mentioned that keep it dark, wear eye mask, and try to have these power naps under 30 minutes, preferably before 3:30 in the afternoon, to get the maximum benefit out of it, and at the same time, not try to kind of disturb the whole biological cycle of having a good sleep over there. So that's fascinating. So let's get to towards the end of our conversation. I could have gone. There are so many questions, but I think whatever we have discussed is so much valuable because our mission is not about providing a solution, but make people think and find their own solutions. So, last question as a key takeaway for the people who would like to maybe a kind of low hanging fruit or quick wins. What are the maybe one, two, or three steps you can recommend to summarize to maybe have a better sleep and obviously a good, healthy lifestyle from that perspective.
Easy. I think the quickest win and the easiest way to improve your sleep that is going to impact you that very night is to wear blue light blocking glasses 2 hours before bed. There, in my experience, personally and professionally, there is nothing more powerful than wearing blue light blocking glasses. That is my first recommendation. My next one is to wake and spend at least 20 minutes in direct sunlight in the first hour of being awake. This resets the circadian rhythm, lowers your melatonin levels, and therefore helps you feel more alert. I realize that a lot of people struggle with morning fatigue, and exposure to direct sunlight really reduces that impact and reduces that feeling. So that's definitely a plus. And my last recommendation is for those who are waking through the night and unable to return to sleep. If this is you, you need to, if you are awake longer than 20 minutes, get up out of bed and move into the lounge. Put on blue light blocking glasses, and only then can you turn on a light and then read or journal or meditate. Only when you are just about to fall asleep, return to bed. Now, this process should be followed if you're waking up through the night, but it also should be followed if you cannot fall asleep at the start of the night. My private clients who have followed that process have moved from being awake 5 times through the evening and being unable to return to sleep for hours to reducing that experience to just being waking two times and being able to fall back to sleep with ease. So it's very, very effective, and that process should be followed by all who are struggling with that challenge.
That's great advice. I have one more question. The second point you mentioned about to reduce the melatonin, you can be in front of the sunlight. What if for the folks who wake up so early that it just kind of a dawn or not even dawn, it's still night? What's your recommendation for those sort of people?
So there are glasses that are called light therapy glasses, and instead of blocking out blue light as the ones that you're wearing before bed, they actually provide blue light and provide light that is similar to that of natural sunlight. So if you are consistently waking and it is dark outside, definitely invest in not only the blue light glasses, but also the light therapy glasses.
White therapy glasses. That's great. Olivia, thank you so much for providing such a wonderful conversation. And I think I learned a lot about how to sleep better. And I will definitely advise my family members as well, at least to start with a couple of quick wins you mentioned. And also, I would definitely try to do some exercises based on your website. So, quickly, what's your website? Again, I'll put in all those information on the show notes. But if you can quickly provide what's your website name, so that people can search and go through and get benefit from that assessment.
Sure. So my website's just my full name, oliviaarezzolo.com.au. That's also my handle on Instagram. And if you are wanting to connect and learn more, I definitely recommend Instagram because it's where I'm the most active every day. I drop sleep tips in my stories or in my reels, and there's a wealth of information there, which I know will be extremely valuable for anyone who is wanting to improve their sleep. So that's definitely my first recommendation. My website's great as well, but I like Instagram because then if you have listened to this podcast, I would love you to say hello and let me know you've heard this show and tell me what you think. So please connect with me there. It's Olivia Arezzolo.
Definitely, please follow her and get all the nice and good advice around sleep, because that is one of our part of our daily routine, and it's all about health and taking care of your well-being. So thank you, Olivia, again for providing such an insightful conversation, and I wish you all the best for your future endeavors.
Thank you so much. You too.
Bye. We hope you enjoyed our show today. If you have any thoughts or questions, feel free to reach out to us on social media or leave a comment. Don't forget, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss an episode. And if you find value in our conversation today, we would be incredibly grateful if you could leave us a rating, reviews, or comments. Again, thank you for tuning in, and we will be back with another episode next week. Till then, keep the conversation going. Let's talk.